What's up guys, welcome back to the Lil Maguizy channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at a bunch of people because I can't bother saying their names. Let's do it, shall we? Avengers Infinity War, starring Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark/Iron Man, Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner/Hulk, Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff/Black Widow, Don Cheadle as James Rhodes/War Machine, Benedict Cumberbatch as Dr. Stephen Strange, Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P., as T'Challa/Black Panther, Tom Holland as Peter Parker/Spider-Man, Paul Bettany as The Vision, Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff/Scarlet Witch, Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes/The White Wolf, Karen Gillan as Nebula, Palm Clemente as Mantis, Dave Bautista as Drax, Zoe Saldana as Gamora, with Vin Diesel as Groot, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, Josh Brolin as Thanos, and Chris Pratt as Peter Quill/Star-Lord. My fuck, how many people was that? I don't fucking know. So anyway, this shit picks up immediately where Ragnarok left off, where that giant ship came in the after credit scene. It attacked them, slaughtered half their people, and some weird Squidward looking dude explains to them that they've been saved by this guy called Thanos. So anyway, Thanos grabs Thor, threatens to murder him if Loki doesn't give him the Tesseract. Also, Loki's in this. So then Loki gives him so then Thanos tries to destroy Thor's head with the Power Stone, and then Loki gives him the Tesseract, but before he does, he says, "We have a Hulk." So Hulk comes, Hulk and Thanos beat the hell out of each other, and then Thanos decides to beat the living shit out of the Hulk. And so Heimdall sends Hulk back to Earth. Thanos stabs Heimdall. Very sad, R.I.P. Heimdall. And then Thanos takes the Space Stone, puts it in his gauntlet, so he has two stones, the Power and the Space Stone. And so then Loki tries to stab him, but then Thanos uses the Space Stone to take the knife away, and then Thanos grabs Loki and crushes his neck and murders him. R.I.P. Loki. I don't think he's coming back. I don't think he's coming back. So then Thor's all sad, and then Thanos leaves, and then Thor mourns Loki, and then the spaceship explodes. Meanwhile, in the Sanctum, Strange and Wong are just talking about they should get a sandwich or something, and then Hulk falls into the Sanctum, and then he turns back into Bruce and says, "Thanos is coming." And then Strange is like, "Who?" And meanwhile, Tony and Pepper are talking about the future, and then Strange comes and says that Tony needs to come with him, and then Bruce gives Tony a hug because he's scared. And so then Wong explains the 6 Infinity Stones, and that Strange has one, and then, and then Tony tries to call Steve, but after their little falling out they had in Civil War, he's not really sure, so Tony calls Steve, but before he does, chaos happens in New York. So Tony, Bruce, Strange, and Wong, they go and check it out. And then Tony puts on his new nanotech Iron Man suit. And Bruce tries to turn into the Hulk, but he can't, because after the scrap he had with Thanos, I don't think Hulk's gonna come out. So yeah. And so then they kidnap Strange. Peter comes and becomes Peter dressed up as Spider-Man comes. So Tony gives Peter an Iron Spider-Man suit, and so then he tells Peter to go home, and then he sneaks on the ship. Meanwhile, in Scotland, Wanda and Vision are having fun, and then Vision gets stabbed by a couple more people from Thanos' army, and then Vision and Wanda attack them, and then Steve comes he has a beard now, and he doesn't have a shield. He doesn't. He's not patriotic anymore. He doesn't have the cap. He has the Captain America suit, but the stars ripped off. The suit's all dark now. He has a beard, and his hair's quite long. Not long, but like. And then Black Widow comes, and she's blonde now. And then the Falcon comes, and so they all attack him. Thanos' army go back up and escape. Go back up. And then Steve, Romanoff, Sam, Vision, and Wanda, they go back to their Avengers base. That's that. So meanwhile, the Guardians, they're just hanging out in space, trying to find the people who were murdered in that Asgard attack from Thanos. And then Thor flies into the ship, and then Thor wakes up, then decides to team up with Rocket, Groot, and Rocket and Groot. He decides to team up with them and goes to find a new hammer thing. So meanwhile, Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, and Mantis, they all go and look for Thanos too. So Star-Lord, Gamora, and Mantis, Drax are looking for Thanos, and then Gamora stabs Thanos, but Thanos he has a reality stone now. So Thanos uses the reality stone to say that he was alive. Kidnaps Gamora, leaves. Yeah. Meanwhile, back on the Avengers base, Rhodey's sitting there with General Ross, and it's a hologram of him, and he's saying, "You're the only criminals because you chose them to call them that, right, sir?" And then he turns off the hologram, and then the rest of the Avengers come: Steve, Romanoff, Sam, Wanda, and Vision. And they're all like, "You guys really look like crap." And so then Bruce comes, and then teams up with them, and then so there's no Clint or Scott because they're on house arrest because of what happened in Civil War. And so Steve knows somewhere, and then Wakanda. So T'Challa and Okoye, they go explain that, they need help, and then they tell Bucky to come and help. And so T'Challa has a new metal arm for him. And so Bucky's like, "Where's the fight?" And then T'Challa's like, "Oh, I need to wait." So meanwhile, Strange is kidnapped. Tony comes and saves him, and then Peter comes as well. And so Strange is saved. And then they crash land on Titan. And then Star-Lord, Mantis, and Drax come, and they team up to stop Thanos. So meanwhile, Thanos takes Gamora to the ship and tortures Nebula until she tells him where the Soul Stone is. And Gamora tells him where the Soul Stone is, so he takes Thanos there. So she takes Gamora there and tells him where the Soul Stone is. Yeah. So meanwhile, Rocket and Thor and Groot go to this place where Peter Dinklage is giant. And so they explain the axe and shit. Meanwhile, Thanos takes Gamora over to Vormir, and a mysterious figure shows up, and it turns out to be Red Skull. He's back. So then he explains that in order to get the Soul Stone, you must sacrifice the one which you love the most. And Gamora's like, Thanos, you love nothing. And then Thanos, it turns out he loved Gamora. I don't know. So he murders Gamora. So Gamora dies, R.I.P. And then he gets the Soul Stone. And meanwhile, Thor is harvesting the axe, and then Thor, he exhausts, he collapses. And then Groot, so the hand on it, so like the actual axe itself and the hammer's made, but the handle's not. So Groot actually does something for once, cuts off his arm, makes the axe, and then lightning comes out of Thor's hands, and then Meanwhile, the Avengers arrive in Wakanda, and then, they try to get the stone out of Vision's head, but then Thanos' weird Venom dog army comes. So then Bruce has the Hulkbuster armor since, Hulk's too scared to show up. So meanwhile, they all attack, and then there's too many of them, and then eventually this beam comes down, and then this lightning thing just destroys all of them. And then the beam, it turns out to be Thor, Rocket, and Groot. So they all arrive to try and stop Thanos. So meanwhile, Thanos arrives in Titan, attacks the other Avengers, and then Nebula comes because she escapes. And so then they all have Thanos captive, and then fucking Star-Lord, he tells them where's Gamora, and then Thanos says, "Why Gamora?" And then Nebula explains that she murdered Gamora. And then Star-Lord attacks him, ruins everything. So meanwhile, Thanos is, beating up people. Thanos stabs Tony, and then Strange gives up the stone in exchange for Tony's life. And so Thanos has 5 out of the 6 stones and goes away, and then Quill's like, "We just lose." And I'm sitting there like, what did you think? You're the one who fucking beat the hell out of him. Yeah. And then Strange is like, we're in the end game now. Meanwhile, back in Wakanda, Vision comes and attacks people. So Thanos' army are dead. And so Wanda has to destroy the stone. And Thanos comes, and the Avengers try to attack him. Wanda pushes Thanos out of the way with her things, and then destroys Vision and destroying the stone. And then Wanda's like, she's sad. And then Thanos, I think she forgot that Thanos has the time stone. So Thanos turns back the time and rips the stone out of Vision's head, and Wanda sees him die twice. So Thanos puts the stone in his gauntlet, and then Thor comes, throws his axe, and then stabs him, and then pushes it further into him, and then Thanos is like, he's struggling to breathe, and then meanwhile he's like, "You should have gone for the head," and then he snaps. And then Thor's like, "What did you do?" And then Thanos escapes through a portal, and then Steve's like, "Where'd he go?" And then Bucky disappears, turns into dust. T'Challa turns into dust. Groot turns into dust. Wanda turns to dust. Falcon turns to dust. A bunch of other Wakandan soldiers turn to dust. Meanwhile, in Titan, Mantis turns to dust. Drax turns to dust. Star-Lord turns to dust. Doctor Strange turns to dust. And Spider-Man turns to dust. So it's only leaving Nebula and Tony behind, and they're sad because they lost. Meanwhile, back in Wakanda, Rhodey's like, "What the hell is happening?" And then Steve's like, "Oh god." And then meanwhile, back in Titan, I think it's a glorified version of it now, Thanos sits down, looks through the sun, and smiles. And boom, that's it. That's actually it. After credit scene time, Nick Fury and Hill, they're talking about shit and explaining what's happened in Wakanda. And then a car crashes. They go to check it out, but there's no one in the car. And then a helicopter crashes. And then Hill disappears. And then Fury finds his pager and types stuff into it. And then Fury turns to dust. And then the pager shows a symbol of a superhero that we're going to see in a later movie. So he might be of use. Also, look, there's no fun credits this time. It's just black, sad music and the people that worked in this movie. Overall thoughts. It's fucking great. It's amazing. But the ending, the things that ending, if I'm watching this, I'm gonna have to watch the next one afterwards. But yeah, the credits are sad, and you literally, all the Marvel credits, they make you feel happy because it's a happy ending, but this, you literally feel defeated yourself when you're watching the credits. Every time I watch this movie, I'm just sitting there like, I feel defeated. I feel defeated watching this thing. Yeah. I guess I'll see you next time, where, on a lighter note, we take a look at a man who can shrink and a woman who can shrink. They all band together to defeat a woman who's a ghost. And they save someone's mum. Goodbye.